Hello everybody. I am going to get started on some week 12 stuff. It's been a couple of weeks since I last took a video. Oh, that's not true. I took some videos but haven't posted them. The last inspection from week 11 wasn't all that exciting. Let's see what's happened since then. So the stronger hive, I've added the supers on top, and then in my inspection last week I saw that they weren't really being used yet. So one of the things I did was take off the queen excluder, which is right about here, to try to get some bees to go up and into the top to start storing some honey and nectar. So we'll see. I'm going to take a look at that this week. That's on my list of things to check in the strong hive. And then if I see some activity up there, I might just go ahead and put the queen excluder back on. I think I have it in my toolbox. The other thing I need to do, which I probably mentioned in week 10, was I need to do a mite count. Now that I have 2 brood chambers built out and the honey supers on, I should do a mite count. And what a mite count is to check for the number of mites that are in the hive and see if we need to start treating, or at least to just measure so we can see what's happening over the next few months. Because at some point you might need to treat and prevent the mites from taking over. I can probably post some links to some information on that. But what I have today is, unfortunately, there's no alcohol. I'm going to do an alcohol wash. And unfortunately, this does kill some bees, but it's necessary in terms of being able to get a accurate count of how many mites are in the hives and determine whether or not I need to do any treatments. So actually in this cup is windshield washer fluid, because I can't find any alcohol in the stores just yet. So this is a jar that I got from MDAR, which is Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources. They gave these out at our bee school, and we can use these to count some mites. So what we'll do today is in that strong hive, and I probably will just do this in the strong hive. I won't do it in the weaker hive, and I'll talk about that in a second. So what we're going to do, just to demonstrate, is we're going to find some nurse bees, so bees that are on a brood frame. Make sure the queen isn't there. Shake a frame into this bin, and then use this measuring cup. It's a 1 cup, but I'm going to just measure half a cup. I made a line inside. Scoop up a half a cup of bees, toss them in this here jar. We shake them around for a minute or two, and what should happen is any mites that are stuck on the bees will settle to the bottom. I can shake this jar out. It's got a mesh top that I can keep the bees inside, but the mites will fall through into this dish pan, and I can then count the mites and see if I need to do any sort of treatment just yet. I'm not expecting to, but it's good to keep an eye on that as a beekeeper. So that's what we're going to do in the strong hive for today. The weaker hive I've actually just been in a couple of days ago on Saturday. Today is Monday the 22nd, I believe. So the weaker hive, it's been 18 days since the new queen was emerged, and as of yet I haven't seen any new eggs. I didn't actually see the queen. I haven't seen her since June 4th. So I'm really hopeful that she's in there, and if not, that means if I want this hive to survive, I'm going to have to buy a new queen and introduce her very soon. So that's what I'm preparing for. They say it can take up to 3 weeks from the queen to emerge to start producing eggs. I think we're on day 18 now, 18 or 19. So we're right there at the end of 3 weeks. I'm going to get suited up and head in there, and we'll come back for a summary. See you in a minute. Like I said, I've been here a couple of days ago to take these supers off and take the excluder off. So I'm gonna take a look inside and see if anything's changed there. I'm not expecting to do a deep dive into this hive today. It's mostly just to do the mite count. I did see this queen last week, so that's good. And I added some of these little vent covers on top just to ventilate, because it's been pretty hot. It's been in the high 80s or mid 80s the past week. Kind of a little bit of a heat spell. So to give some extra ventilation. I will have to be careful because the queen can now be up in these supers. I don't expect her to, but she could be, so I'll just be careful. Let's just take a quick peek. Let's just see if any wax has been drawn out on any of these frames. Just taking a quick peek in. I don't see anything on these frames, so I'm not going to bother doing a deep check there. Just going to pull this one off. There might be some activity on the bottom one, which would be nice, but let's see. Top one does not appear to be. I could just hear a bit of activity in this next box. Oh yeah, look at that. So that's a good sign. Let's pull this outside frame just to make room. There's already some propolis happening. And oh yeah, look at that. We've got some, it's hard to see it. Spin this around. Again, queen could be here, but she's blue. It's hard to see it, but there is wax. It's the white wax, whitish, yellowish wax on a yellow plastic frame, so it's hard to see it, but it is there, which is good. Should I remember what side was which? I think I spun it around, so I put it back the way it was. But that's good. This one's got a little bit on it. That's good. And we move deeper in. We see a good amount of wax on this one. I already got some nectar flowing on this bad boy. So this is going to be straight honey. There is no feeding going on. This is just nectar they're bringing in from flowering plants nearby within a 2 to 3 mile radius. That's great. Super excited about this. And this is pretty stuck to the one below it. But this is great. I mean, this was literally Saturday. This was empty. And look at that, just all nectar, filled in, looking beautiful. There's no brood in there. It's literally just nectar. And I couldn't be happier to see this. Such a welcome change from last week, where it was just completely empty. Or not even last week. I think it was Saturday that I checked. I have to check my records. Again, I mean, I don't know if it gets any prettier than that, but look at that. That is just straight nectar in there. Beautiful color, light color. This is a spring honey. It's going to be very light in color as opposed to a fall honey, which would be more amber in color. This is just, again, I'm a new beekeeper, so I don't know all the flowers that are providing nectar right now, but it is a light color. So we'd expect this to get capped, and then when it's capped, that means the moisture level is correct. And when it's all capped, or at least nearly all capped, that's when you can extract it. So yeah, this looks great. I don't see any signs of the queen being up here. These girls are just busy. And I've seen them coming in and out, like literally. This hive, not so much pollen, but they're bringing in nectar. So a lot of my fellow beekeepers are mentioning that they've seen some with established hive have already extracted once. These are just getting started. This is a new hive, so they say many beekeepers don't get honey their first year. Might still not get honey, but This is a great start. So they're really up here. These ones are a little bit lighter on this side. But they've literally started building wax on every single frame, at least in this super. Just ever so slightly on this last frame. And so what we'll do is we'll wait until all of these frames are completely built out. We have 10 in each super. Recommended method is once they've built out the comb, then you can reduce it to 9 frames and you end up with a better yield of honey. I'm going to take a quick peek. I don't see the queen up here. And with this activity, I think I should put the excluder back on. Might be premature, probably should wait. If I recall, we had some pretty good brood up in this top deep, so it'll probably be a good one to use for mite counts. Decent amount of brace comb here. Let's give them a little puff just to clear them out. There we go. That cleared them out pretty good. As good of a cleanup as I can do. Let's find a brood frame and try out this alcohol wash. Take out the outside frame. That's the typical method. Unless I have to kill a queen out here. She's typically on the inside frames, never really on the last outside frames. These are mostly nectar. She could be here, but unlikely. So we always start with the outside. This one is literally just packed with nectar. So they're, and I noticed the bees are a little bit more active today, more agitated, not agitated, but I think they'll be more aggressive now. And they're more aggressive than they were a few weeks ago because now they actually have something to protect, which is their hive and their honey. So I have to be more and more careful. I have to be slower and more methodical with my movements, which I'm kind of not being right now. But they serve as a gentle reminder to move slow. So we'll do our best to not jar them. And this frame has a decent amount of girls on it. I think I could probably use this one. I think the next one has even more, so let me increase my chances of getting enough bees. This is my first time, so you guys get to see it. Try to get it. I'll move the camera first. So let me move, before I pull this next frame out, let me move this camera. Okay, this will work. Got our jar. We've got our scoop. Let's take the lid off in preparation. Again, this is just a winter windshield washer fluid. Has alcohol in it that will kill the bees. Fortunately, that's what we have to do to get a proper count. So get ready for this one. We're going to shake this after I take a look and make sure there's no queen here. We're going to look intently to make sure she is not here. And so when I shake this frame, it should just be nurse bees. The foragers will fly away, so we'll see some flying happening in a second. I see brood here, not recent. Okay. So what do you say we give this a shot? So we're gonna shake this frame into here and then pour it into a cup of with hazelwine for a half mark, and then put those bees inside the jar and do some counting. So if you guys are ready for this, I guess I'll brace myself for it. Let's see. Wish me luck. Oh, that was horrible. That was not a good epic fail. Okay. Let's step back. We've got bees in the jar. Shake them around as humanely as we can. Okay. I think we got just about a half cup in there. Took me 1 or 2 scoops. Hey, I mean, this is my first time. Not expecting perfection here. I think I kneeled on one that was on the ground and it stung me in the knee. So we have to switch this around for about a minute or so. I think. Is there anything else on my list? No. So I think I can set this aside for a second. Close this up. Actually, I guess I could just go ahead and set this here so these girls will fly away. Put this aside. Let's get this frame back on. And then put the excluder back on and wrap up today's mite count activity. All right, so that's wrapped up. Most of the bees have flown off. There's a couple on the ground still, kind of eating some things that are around there. But so we got our bees here. We're gonna go ahead and shake them around for a minute. Agitate them really good, get all the mites off, do a count. Let's go ahead and move the camera so I can get you up and close. All right, so there's still a number of bees in my dish pan. And we can count these girls after to make sure that we actually got about 300 is what we're aiming for. I think we did. This blue liquid is really difficult for me to see any mites inside this jar, so I'm going to have to check inside the pan once I get the few bees that are in there. Unfortunately, that dish pan actually has a little bit of oil, has a little bit of sugar feed in it. So the bees are kind of attracted to it, so they're kind of hanging out. So we'll do, this has a mesh lid. There's a cover underneath it I'm going to take out, and then I'm going to pour these bees out and see if we see any little mites swimming around. Okay, we can take this top off. And now we can pour this liquid into this white dish pan. Normally, I would have done this with a clear alcohol, but again, I can't find any in the stores, so we use this blue stuff. And so, we look in here, and unless I'm completely blind, I don't see any mites in there. I'm gonna take another deep look up close. I'm gonna go ahead and pour it back in the jar give it another shake just to see if I missed. And I'm just gonna count and see how close I was to the 300. Again, this is my first shot. I can't imagine I would get it right every time. All right, so I just got done counting these bees. Yes, I counted every single one, and I was short by about 100 bees. Should have had 300 in there. I got about 200. So I'm not gonna go ahead and do that again, at least not this week. I'll wait another couple weeks before I do another count, but I'll just note that I only got 200 bees in here, so the threshold should have been a certain number. There's a certain percentage. So there's enough in here that I should have at least seen 1 or 2 if there was a mite issue. I didn't see a single mite, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that mites aren't a problem, so I will check back in a few more weeks, and I'll probably do a better job of scooping up the bees next time, go a little bit higher in my scoop, or get an actual half cup scoop. Mine was a 1 cup, and I marked it, and I thought I had just about a half cup, but I was maybe a little bit shy of getting the 300. So 200 in there, no mites. At least that's good news. So I think we're done with that activity for today, and let's shoot into this hive real quick and see what's new in there. See if we can find the queen, see if she's laying. All right, let's see if we can find the queen in here today, or at least some eggs. That would be great. They are still feeding in here. I did ventilate this one as well. Looking up top, they haven't really taken a ton of syrup in the past few days. So one thing I'll be checking today also is see if they're agitated. Being agitated is a sign of being queenless for too long, which is possible. So I see some pollen on some of them, which is a good sign. Okay, we will check the bottom box first. That would be the likely place we'll find some brood. All right, let's get this party started. Again, I was in here pretty recently. Let's see if there's any change. No signs of the queen, no signs of eggs. No sign of a queen, no eggs yet. I think we're looking at a new queen. I know we're a few days early where she could still be out there, but since mosquitoes, I don't think we have a mated queen in this hive. We can't wait for another one even if I brought in some brood from that hive, it's just far too late for that. We need another 42 days before new bees would come in. So I'll take a look at these last two frames. I don't even know if I'll bother looking at the top ones. All right, let's wrap this up. Take a quick scan through the top chamber and call it a day. Call it a week. Same as before, we're just looking for any evidence of the queen. And I just see nectar and pollen in these frames. Still not a lot of drawn comb on these top frames. I'll keep the feeder jars on here for a bit longer. I know I've said that the past couple of weeks, but as long as they don't have this built out, I'm going to keep these jars on. This one is also ventilated. A couple of push pins on the front. Everything's back in order, didn't forget anything. Okay, so we'll pack up and do a quick summary. Okay, let's do a week 11 and a week 12 summary of our bee inspections. A couple of things, starting with the strong hive. So in week 11, middle of the week, we added the honey supers. Didn't see any activity in the honey supers, so we removed the queen excluder. Good news is that this week, the first honey super has a bunch of nectar in it. Like, if I recall, like 4 or 5 of the frames actually had a good amount of nectar in there, so that's really exciting. So I decided to put the queen excluder back on in between the deep hive and the honey supers. That is to keep the queen out of the top and keep just the workers collecting honey. I don't want to have to go fishing for the queen. Oh, look at the smoke. I don't want to have the queen laying up in the supers. The top super does not have any frames built out that I could tell. It's kind of really hard to tell when there's just a little bit of wax you can't really see with the yellow frames. So good activity there. Looks like orientation flight's happening right now. So left hive as strong as ever. I didn't go do a deep inspection today of this hive. I had just done one last week. I don't think I need to go through there again. Everything looked fine. We did our mite count. It was a success, but I learned a couple of things. Obviously didn't collect enough bees. I needed to be a little bit more mindful of my surroundings. I probably should wear pants next time. I ended up kneeling on a bee during the process. So that was fun. Again, it's a learning experience, right? So we'll take that into the next time we do a mite count, which probably won't be for another few weeks. Probably middle to end of July is when I'll do the next count. So we will learn from our mistakes and try again, but no mites that we could find thus far, so that's great. So I think that's it for the strong hive. Now, the big question is what to do with this hive. I had gone in there week 10, hadn't seen the queen since June 4th. We did hear her piping one day. She had just recently emerged, so that was great. But since then we haven't seen her, and there are no signs of eggs. And we're right at the end of the 21-day period, about 3 weeks, where she should be laying if she had successfully made it. So I don't think that queen is going to make it, which means what we have to do now is buy a new queen. I will start reaching out to some local suppliers to see who has them available. Being Monday, I probably should be able to pick one up midweek around here, if not the weekend. So I'll start making some calls. And didn't find the queen, didn't find the eggs, nothing. Otherwise, nothing much has changed. The bottom is still pretty built out. The top remains to be partially built out. They're barely drinking syrup, but I left it on there for now. And they just seem to act a little bit different. I mean, sure, they won't have orientation flights now, but I just noticed that they seem to be hanging out at the front of that entrance, acting much different than these do. These ones are always fanning the front entrance. These ones are kind of like just chilling out. I don't really hear anything. They're kind of always out there. So one of the things that I've long thought since the queen was superseded or died or whatever was that there is some level of disease happening in this hive that's caused all this chain reaction of events. So I see a lot of bees still outside dead. I think we can disregard at this point that it'd be pesticides. It wouldn't have, I don't think it would be on this long. I think we just have some virus or something in this hive that caused some RBs to die. I see them fighting outside a lot, which is a sign of them sort of taking care of the sick bees. The good news is that since there are no new bees to be emerged, they've all emerged. Whatever viruses that are in there will be gone. Presumably the new bees, if I get a mated queen, should come out healthy and we can start again. So we'll cross our fingers and hope that's the case. So again, week 12. Thank you for sticking around this long. And I guess we'll see you in week 13, where we'll do some inspections, or most likely the next time I see you, it will probably be doing a queen installation. So that would be a first, aside from the first package install. So I'll try to make another video on that. Otherwise, if you have any questions or comments, please comment below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover in this sort of beginner beekeeping series, I guess. Thanks. We'll see you next time.